The group in front of you is our wind ensemble here at MCHS. It is the first of two groups at the upper campus here at McHenry. That piece that you just heard is called Illumination by David Maslanka. To paraphrase the words of friends of the program, Spencer Heil, you can't have a concert without Alfred Reed. I say you can't have a concert without David Maslanka. So this is we play a piece of his just about every year because we just can't get enough of the stuff. Some really beautiful moments in there, and I think it showcases just the awesome talent of these folks really, really well. The next piece that we're going to play is another popular request, another more pops-oriented one, but also very much in the realm of really great concert music. This piece, again, many of you may be familiar with it. If anyone is a fan of Studio Ghibli films and the works of Hayao Miyazaki, and specifically the music of Joe Hisaishi, for those of you that aren't in the know, really, really famous animated films out of Japan that have had international global appeal for decades upon decades. I would argue that one of his most famous soundtracks is that of Howl's Moving Castle, and specifically the track, The Merry-Go-Round of Life. So I hope you enjoy our rendition of Merry-Go-Round of Life, arranged by Juan Perez. You're welcome. So welcome. That's like how you tune Tippy. And would you look at that, we're at our last tune of the evening. I would think we're actually doing really good time considering how my concerts usually go. So I, for one, am proud of myself. Yeah, right? We had like 5 groups. We have one more song, just one, and it's not going to be super long at all. I say completely serious and never lying to you. I am going to talk a lot because there's a lot of moving around back there, but this is also, I feel as if this moment deserves the space and the time to talk about it. Again, this concert is called by popular demand because I want to do what is best for these students, and I want to give them the band program that they want, that they dream of, and that they deserve. This cycle has been a particularly challenging one for me personally, because it is a particularly challenging one for these kids physically. I pushed the envelope, I gave them new challenges, I opened their worlds, hopefully, to new opportunities, to new things to try, and new sounds. And some may say that that was the wrong choice. And I wrestle with that a lot. Some may say that it's too hard, and it's too adventurous, and it's too much. And I'm not saying that that is incorrect, because that is simply a perspective that one has as an observer. And those are perspectives that were brought forth only with love. But in my personal consideration and deep love for this program, I remain more or less, but generally still so resolute in the choices that I have made. And I hope that you all as an audience have enjoyed watching these students grow as much as I have enjoyed day to day pushing the envelope with these students, and hopefully they have enjoyed slogging through some of these challenges as well. And listen, this is not me fishing for pity or for your validation. This is me trying to instill upon you the great sense of pride. I wish you could only have a fraction of the pride as an observer, as an audience member in these 2 hours that I have for these young people, again, every single day, for just trying. And yes, sometimes things don't always work out the best, or the cleanest, or the nicest, or the most perfect. But by God do these students try, and they grow, and they learn. Again, I would be remiss if I attempted to take all of that credit for myself. For a lot of our students, this is the last time they will be on this stage. And they have done so much to, not only help shepherd this program to where it is today, but help me as a young professional in this field get to where I am at today. These seniors, this class of 2025, that have, for more or less, only known the chaos that I have bestowed upon them, have taken it all with such grace and with such eagerness that I, for one, I truly could not have asked for a better first band, a better first program, and a better first community than these people. I will say again, even more in a month at the banquet, but I would like to recognize all of them individually. So let's start with some folks that are currently in the audience. If you could please rise and receive the love of your adoring fans and peers as I say your name. From our symphonic band, we had Z. Alvarez and Christine Duckworth. Also, not here right now because he has to do his fancy medical job or whatever, but shout out to Jordan Calabrese, who we love and appreciate. And all of you people here in front of me. Gigi Thorne. Everyone in this community that has come before, that is still involved, that helps to make McHenry Band so special and so great. You have my deepest, utmost gratitude. With that being said, please enjoy this next tune. This is dope.
Okay, great, so we can start.
I saw you reading the program. Ensemble.